Hello friends, myself Dr. Vivek Vaksure from the Department of Computer Medicine. Today we will discuss fertility and its related statistics. At the end of these test sessions, you should be able to describe or explain what is fertility and what are the factors affecting fertility. Similarly, you should be able to discuss or point out what are the important indicators of fertility, and you should be able to solve the exercises related to it. Fertility is a broad concept. Every animal, every organism tries to reproduce itself, and the capability to reproduce itself is called as fertility. There is a term called fecundity. Fecundity is a physical ability to reproduce, while fertility is the actual production of the offsprings. Now, if you consider humans, now fertility depends, or major limiting factor for humans is a women of reproductive age group, which is considered from 15 to 45, and some countries it is considered up to 50. That is from menarche to menopause. So these 30 years, a woman is considered to be reproductive, or she can give birth to the offsprings. Now, theoretically, maximum 15 pregnancies are possible. So, a woman, if she doesn't bear twins or multiple childs at a time, she can give birth to 15 children. That is the fecundity. But in practice, it is rarely seen, or it is very rare to see a woman having 15 children. So that doesn't exactly encompasses how many children a woman is having or a woman may have during their lifetime. That is why we will study today's statistics. What are the indicators that helps us understand the fertility more better. Now, this is the global map of fertility. You can see average number of children a woman is expected to have is given from this map. If you see the India is in the one of the higher zone, that is a zone between 2 to 2.99, that is per woman, and this is the this is the number of children that is expected. Even some countries like African countries, some Middle Eastern countries, there it is even higher, from even 4 to 6 or even more than 6. So why this is so varying? If you see Europe, Canada, Australia, Brazil, they have very low fertility, from 1 to 1.9, that is less than 2 children they are having on an average, even China. So why this is so variation, so much variation? That we will discuss. What are the factors affecting fertility? Now in India, we are a land of discrepancy. If we see the map, you can easily understand that some states, specifically these central states, these states have really high fertility. That fertility can be compared to some African countries or Middle East countries. While you can see the South Indian states, or Maharashtra or Punjab, Haryana, these have very low fertility. That is comparable to many developed nations or Western countries, which we have seen. So there is a huge discrepancy of fertility in India. Now, what actually causes so much range or so much difference in fertility? As we have discussed, even in a country, some states, some districts, some cities have very low fertility rate as compared to some areas having very high fertility rate. So basically, on an roughly, if we are dividing the factors affecting the fertility, they can be divided as economic factors, socio-cultural factors, and political factors. But remember this, these are not a watertight compartment. It is not that there will be a economic factors will be totally isolated and different. Socio-cultural factors will be totally isolated and different, and political factors will be totally isolated and different. These three are interconnected. As the economy advances, as the economy changes, the socio-cultural norms will change, and as socio-cultural norms will change, political beliefs, political motivations will change, and vice versa. When we go into deep, the factors which come under those are status of women, level of education, employment, cost of children, type of residence, religion, healthcare, government pressure, gender preferences, and infant mortality. All these come under the factors which actually affect the fertility. I think the status of women is the single most important factor affecting the fertility. The countries where the women have equal rights, the countries where women have equal status, they have equal access to education, equal access to job opportunities, have seen that slowly the fertility decreases or diminishes. I won't say diminishes, diminishes is a wrong term, but it is decreases. Simple fact is that if a woman is a working 9 to 5 job, or even 12 hours a day, she is earning equal amount of money. Why she will go under this repeated pregnancies that will result in disruption of her career. So automatically, instead of having, and secondly, she will be economically independent, she will be socially independent, she can take her own decisions. So automatically what will happen? The fertility will decrease. She won't undergo repeated pregnancies. She will say that okay, I want only one child. So dependence of woman decreases, the fertility decreases. Level of education is very important. More educated the society is, and especially women, it is said that if you educate a man, you will educate a single person. If you educate a woman, you will educate whole family. So that is the importance of education. Even you can see that in educated class, even in your surroundings, if you see that the people who are uneducated living in the scanties and slums, there they will have more multiple children, and who are highly educated, there automatically the number of children is lower. You can compare that yourself also in the society. Now here it is a good graph. It is a fertility rate taken from 1994 to 2000. Here you can see that female secondary school enrollment, it is not even the some high education, post graduation or graduation, or even some medical education, means any professional education. It is not that, just secondary school enrollment of the women, it is given at one side, and fertility rate at another side, and various countries. You can see the countries which are having very low women education. See Ethiopia, it is very low rate of enrollment, and you can see fertility rate disproportionately high. So better the women are educated, or overall education is better, the fertility rate is lower. You can see India is in middle. Okay. This is not always one-to-one phenomena. There are other factors also affecting. So in Egypt, you can see that there is having very high enrollment of women, nearly above 80% in secondary school. But however, their fertility rate is equal to India. So again, there are other factors also playing a role here. But still, this can give you a rough idea. Okay. I think see, this is the same. The country, more the country is developed, there are more employment opportunities. The per capita income or average, and not only average, median income. So what is median? What is average? This you will learn in statistics. But simple thing is that average means what is done. They add the income of everybody in the society, and they will divide it by the number of people. So if there is a society with Mukesh Ambani living next door to a beggar, and if we add the income of two and divided by the number of family members, then we will think that okay, oh, average income is so high, but it is not the correct picture. Median income is also very important. It means the uh, if you arrange every person according to income from lower to higher, what is the income of exactly a person of at a center? That is important, and that gives you better picture. So this we'll learn in the statistics and all, but remember that a country more developed is country, more the employment opportunities are there, better the income of the people, median income of the people is higher, then the number of children that people will have will be lower. Why is this? You can say that richer the people are, they can support more children, they should have more children, and poor people they can't support, so they should have less. But that is not the case. It is exactly reverse. What happens? A country develops more, people start to get better income, better education, they start to understand the importance of the smaller families. Similarly, their expenses increase. You could have you could just see your fathers or your grandparents, they were living with a bicycle. They may not have even bicycle for their schooling life, but what you have, you need iPhones, you need iPads or Android versions of whatever it is. You need these things, you need the recharge of internet, you need many more other things, so your needs are increased. So what happens then? Slowly, one person earning and other all family living on it. This picture is slowly withering out. Middle class, both the husband and wife need to be earning, and as soon as they start earning, they start spending. The expense of children's multiple children may become very difficult. So that is why all these things lead development leads to reduced fertility. Type of residents, as we discussed, in poor families, in slums, in rural areas, children are considered to be asset. Okay, they will when they will grow old, they will earn for us. They are considered as a pension. So parents think that okay, when I am old I can't work, these children will work and they will feed me. But this is not the case for middle class or upper class. The middle class starts its investment in pension funds and all these things. They don't see children as asset or in fact indirectly children are considered as liability, because they have to spend huge amount on them. So type of residents, again religion, many religion uh, they they ban contraception. So if a person is very religious, he won't use a contraceptive practices. So we have discussed Egypt, even though they have very high women education rate, they have high equal fertility as us. Because what happens then? Their Egypt is a strict religious country where contraceptions are not practiced even among the educated masses. So there it issues their fertility is higher. Similarly, even there are rules regarding the conceptional behavior among some religions. So in Jews, the conception is not allowed for first 7 days of menstrual cycle. So again, when the people will have this, they will them that the fertile period occurs. So these things are do take effect. Available healthcare nowadays, especially in higher and middle classes, the child mortality is very rare because the availability of healthcare is very good. So the parents opt for one or two child because they know that this child is going to survive. But in African countries, in our rural areas where mortality is very high, then what happens? The parents don't know whether their child will survive to grow old or not. So their fertility is very high. They don't accept the contraception. They will as and when they will give birth to the next child, because they don't know how many of them are going to survive. So that is why healthcare liability actually reduces fertility. Cost of children, as we discussed, nowadays even if a cost of basic education has increased in lakhs, and then if you are middle class, you aim to that your child will learn some very high education, professional education, again that can go in crores. So if a person is having 5 6 children, and if he wants to make them a doctor or engineer from private colleges, then you can see how much expensive that. So that's why middle class, higher middle class, they have higher cost of children. Even in low class, they don't tend to think so much ahead, because for them survival is their key. So they don't think that they don't plan for their children going and spending crores on in their schools and colleges. For them, cost of per children is very low. That is why they tend to easily have more children. Government pressure. In the last decade, China has slowly and gradually removed the pressure of one child. But in previous decades, they had a notorious one child policy. So one family was allowed to have only one child. That has been successful in bringing down the population. So government pressure does act, but again, it has many undue effects. It can cause many undue effects on the society as whole. What are they? And that is why the China has now understood that there is more harm to the society by one child norm than benefit. So now they have given up that policy. So what are those that we will discuss when we discuss the demography? Again, gender preferences. So in Asian countries like India, male child are considered as a torch bearer of the family name, and female child is considered to be a bad omen. So what are the evils of that? In uneducated people, they will, unless and until they get boy child, they will reproduce. So we have seen the examples of 4 5 female childs followed by a male child. So that male child preference will lead to increased fertility. Then there are social evils like female feticides. Those are more dangerous. It is very common in the middle class, and that is why there is a huge problem regarding this in Haryana, Punjab, and even Gujarat. So this is not the part of current today's lecture. This will be discussed when we discuss the demography related lectures. Okay. Again, as we discuss infant mortality rate, higher the death rate among infants, the parents are anxious. They don't know whether the child will survive or not. So they will again, instead of going for contraception, terminal contraception, they will try to have another child, because that increases chances of some making to the older ages. But now that has been slowly reduced with the better healthcare facilities. Now we discuss the measures of fertility or indicators of fertility. Before we begin the measures of fertility, we need to understand from where the data regarding fertility comes. How we are knowing that how many children people are having, or what are the number of these? For that, the source of data are three. The first and most important thing is registration of vital events. जन्म और मृत्यु की नोंदनी या उस or registration, that is known as registration of vital events. Every birth has to be registered, every death has to be registered, and people meticulously do follow. They won't register many things. They won't register voter number, or they won't get PAN card, but surely I guarantee you that most of the people will get will register their birth and death in the family, because everything from ration card to your Aadhaar card, everything depends on your registering the birth of a child. And similarly, for death, even the last rites cannot be performed unless and until there is a proper death certificate, and death certificate, all the death certificate are forwarded for death registration. So registration of vital events is very important. There is a in community medicine curriculum there is a visit to birth and death registration office, but currently I think due to this for your batch it may be conducted or may not be conducted, but remember this registration is very important and it is a big exercise and it is a meticulously done exercise. Okay, registration of vital events. Which vital events? Birth and death registration. Now sample registration system. Now at your level for first, second MBBS you may not understand what is sample registration system SRS, but basically it is a concept in which few areas or few pockets of this countries are selected where the survey is done, because survey in whole country is known, which is called a census. It is not regular, it cannot be done regularly, it is impractical, but we can do survey in some pockets and then extrapolate those results to the whole country. That is known as sample registration system. Similar surveys are also conducted under National Family Health Service. These are the sources. And even one more source you can add is census. Census is conducted every 10 years. In 2010 it should have been conducted and published in 2020 it should have been conducted and 2021 it should have been published, but due to the COVID pandemic it was postponed or it was not conducted then. But until that phase, from since last more than 100 years, every 10 years the census has been conducted meticulously, and this is also a very important source of data. What are the measures of fertility used for? These are used for quantifying the birth performance of the population over the period. Basically means in current age, current day, what is the rate of birth or how the birth are happening, that we can quantify by single measure. That is that's why we use measures of fertility. Similarly, comparing the fertility, so say 50 years back, 20 years back, 10 years back maybe, or suppose we want to estimate for the future, so even time trends of the fertility. For these reasons we use the measures of fertility. First and the most important measure of fertility is crude birth rate. As the name suggests, it is a basic birth rate and it is said as crude birth rate. How it is calculated? It is calculated as number of live births in a given area divided by average population of that area during that period multiplied by 1000. So the formula is crude birth rate is equal to total live births divided by mid-year population multiplied by 1000. So as fertility is related to birth, the number of births happening per year are very important. This is first indicator. Going a slightly off track, there is another concept of crude death rate. It is not related to fertility but actually death of the people. So how that is calculated? Total deaths in a given area in a given year divided by median population or average population of that area multiplied by 1000. So it is a antonymous of birth rate and death rate. So hence if you have birth rate and if you have death rate, you can calculate growth rate. So what is the growth rate? It is crude birth rate minus crude death rate. Okay. So what is the benefits of crude birth rate? Minimum data is required and very easy to interpret. And basically this data is 100% available. The birth rate, as we discussed, vital registration, vital statistics registration. Everybody registered the birth in a family. So this data is readily available and it is easy to interpret. So birth rate is increasing, birth rate is decreasing. That is a basic concept you can understand. But this cannot be used in dissimilar population. What do you understand by dissimilar population? The age structure is dissimilar, the socio-economic structure is dissimilar, then you cannot compare these two populations just based on birth rate. So suppose if you see that India and Japan have many old peoples, high percentage of old people is very high, so automatically fertility will be low. So it's very difficult to compare just based on birth rate. Similarly, it is not a proper fertility rate because you are dividing with whole population, and whole population comprises of males. So there goes in your denominator, you are adding 50, more than 50, or more than, even more than 50% people who are not actually be giving birth to a child. Similarly, there are many children under 15 and many geriatric women under over 50. All these are added in that indicator. So that is not a good indicator. Basically, you are dividing the births with many unnecessary large number. So it does not reflect actual reproductivity or fertility. So to overcome that problem, we use general fertility rate. What is general fertility rate? Here, it is the formula is similar. Total number of live births in a given area in a given period multiplied by 1000. But here the factor by which we are dividing or denominator, it is women of childbearing age group of, that is of 15 to 45, or in some countries it is up to 49, during in that living in that area during that period. So now you can easily see that this becomes much more specific. In this, live births are the numerator and the women of childbearing age group of the denominator. So it is a much better indicator, general fertility rate. So it includes only female population of the reproductive age group, and this is more better indicator. It is used for population projections. Okay. Now, in the traditional countries like India, where the single mothers are very rare, there generally marriage, and after marriage only people have children. So here, even more specific birth rate can be general marital fertility rate. Means what? Total live births multiplied by 1000 divided by married women. This is very important. Married women, not just but married women. This indicators you should know, but don't stress on that. If you when you are in writing exam, if you write the birth rate, then general fertility rate, and then a specific, and you skip this marital fertility rate, then also it's not an issue, but just you should know. That is why we are covering this. Now again, issue is there in general fertility rate. General fertility rate, we are considering all the women of the age group of 15 to 45 in that as a denominator. But as you all know, not every woman of all age group is at equal risk of giving birth or having fertility equal. It generally tapers. As the age increases, the fertility increases. So 15 to 18, it is very low because it is illegal to marry basically. So there are illegal marriages happening. It's not that I am unaware of that, but generally up to 18 it is lower side. Nowadays it is difficult to marry and have a child before 18. So the fertility in that age group is lower, but it spikes now. After 20 it spikes, then after up to 30 it increases, but after 30 it tapers rapidly, and slowly after 35 and 40 it's nearly very rare to see that childbirth happening after the age of 40. So it is a curve and not the static phenomena. So comparing or dividing by whole population of the women of 15 to 45 is it is not a correct measure. That is why we calculate age specific fertility rate. Here what we do, we divide women in a small groups, generally of 5 years, but you can take any group. Even if you have a good data, then you can take a group of a single year also. So what is the age specific fertility rate? So consider the age group of 20 to 25, 24, sorry, 20 to 24. So what will be the age specific fertility rate for that age group? number of live births to the women of a given age group. Here what is given? 2024. So you will say how that is 5 years, that is a 4 years group. No, you have to include 20 also. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So it's 5 years ka group. It is a group of 5. So number of live births to the women of 20 to 24 age group. 20 to 24 age group. Okay. So children born to women of 20 to 20 age group in a given area in a 1 year, multiply by 1000 divided by mid-year female population of the same age group. So that is again, तो यहाँ पे जिस एज ग्रुप में द women are child have born to age group of which mother divided by population of that particular age group only we are considering here. You understand? So if we divide whole population from of in 5 years age group, then what we will have, first group will be of 15 to 19 reproductive age group. Second group will be 20 to 24. Third group will be 25 to 29. Please mind my the drawing because it has to be done in mouse and I am not that much expert in that. But you get the basic concept. 30 to 34 and 35 to 39 and so on, 39 to 44. So these will be the age groups. You can take 10 years also age group if you have very low data or very low number, a small village you are considering, so number is very low, you can take that also. 15 to 24, 25 to 34 and 35 to 44, you can take age group of 10 also. Or if you have good data, then you can take single, a group of, so a specific fertility rate of for mothers of 15 years, for mothers of 16 years, 17 years, 18 years, 19 years. So everywhere the formula will be same, whatever group you are considering. So total number of childbirths to the women of that age group multiply by 1000 divided by population of that particular age group, women population of that particular age group. Okay. So same we are discussed here. You can pause the slide if you want to read. Now what happens? You have calculated the age specific fertility rate for say a group of 5 years. So how many specific fertility rate you will have? First will be from 15 to 19, then 20 to 24, 24, 25 to 29, 30 to 34, 35 to 39 and 40 to 44. So you will have 6 numbers, 6 separate numbers, 6 separate age specific fertility rate. But now having such 6 numbers does not mean anything, or it is difficult to understand what is the fertility scenario. So somewhere down the line you have to combine these numbers. So you may have a specific fertility rate for single age group. So 15, 16, 17, in that case you will have 30 separate numbers. So you have to combine them, and just adding them is not a correct method. No? So that is why we need total fertility rate. What exactly total fertility rate means? Total fertility rate means if you considered a woman child born today, how much children she is expected to bore if she survives until her age of 45 and experiences age specific fertility rate according to current scenario. So आपने जो 6 items you have found out in previous time. So if she has she experiences similar fertility rate, so how much children she will have in her lifetime? That is the meaning of total fertility rate. The formula for that is, this n is group interval or class interval. Group sorry for the handwriting again. So group interval, basically this is n. So it may be 5, it may be 10, it may be 1, depending on how you have calculated your age specific fertility rate. Okay, so here we are considering 15 to 19 ka group, and the highest group is 45 to 49. So this group interval is of 5. So here your n will be 5. Okay, multiply by summation of age specific fertility rate. Summation means you have to add all the age specific fertility rates. So from 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25, and so on up to 40 to 49, you have to add all these fertility rates and divide it by 1000. So that is your total fertility rate. This will be more, you will understand better when we solve the exercises. Okay. So understand this. A specific fertility rate gives you multiple figures that you want to combine. For that you have total fertility rate. Okay. Now gross reproduction rate. Until now in total fertility rate we are considering number of children that are born. But in next generation again the issue remains the same. It's not the male child who are going to give birth in next generation, it's the female child. So if we want to predict the population growth, predict the fertility more accurately, we have to consider only live female live births. So there comes the gross reproduction rate or GRR. GRR is nothing but it's a total fertility rate, but only considering the female live birth. So in the numerator, again you have to calculate age specific fertility rates and all these things, but in numerator you will not take total live births, but you will take total female live births only, divided by the women of that particular age group, and then you will find out all the age specific fertility rates for female childs for all the age groups, and then you will combine them with a formula that group interval, here it is 5, multiply by sum of all the fertility rates divided by 1000. Okay. Now all the childs which are born, they don't survive. There is a concept of infant mortality, under-5 mortality, even childhood mortality. Some children may die. So again we want to be more specific or more better or more accurate in predicting the population. Then we use the concept of net reproductive rate. Basically net reproductive rate is a gross reproductive rate adjusted for mortality. So in this we are also considering what is death rate, and we are subtracting that. We are not just considering the live births. Okay. For MBBS level, GRR or NRR are not expected to be calculated, but just you should know, as it can come as a part of a long question or it can be asked in a viva. So if you want a population to be stable, you want to achieve net reproductive rate of 1. What is the meaning of that net reproductive rate of 1? It means that a woman born today will give birth to one female child during her reproductive age group or reproductive cycle. That means she will be replaced in next generation by a female. So a female is replaced by female, and that means a population remains stable. How we can achieve net reproductive rate of 1? That means your total fertility rate should be 2.1. Remember again, total fertility rate we consider all the live births. यहाँ पे death भी नहीं consider करते. That is why it is 2.1. Okay. और इसीलिए that is why we have a 2-child policy. Going back to our previous concept that why China had a one child policy, why it basically abandoned it, because if a female if there is one child policy, compulsory one child policy, what will happen? A couple will give birth to one child. It may be male or it may be female. So if you take thousands of couple in that way, there will be half males and half will be females. So in next generation, actually you are reducing the population. And however it looks good on paper that you're reducing population, but then again it becomes a social problem, because then will be less young people to work, and there will be very much more old people to be who should be fed, and again then the social whole social fabric is lost. So you have to understand what is replacement level. So suppose this is a couple, male and female. If they have two childs, then there is a very probability that one will be male and one will be female. Don't consider at family level. नहीं तो आप you will say start saying, oh we both are male childs, we both are female. No, it's not that. I'm saying when there are thousands and lakhs of the couples are there, then there will roughly it and there is no female fetish and all this, and roughly there will be one male and one female in the society. So this female will be replaced by this female in the next generation, and hence the population remains stable. It does not increase, it does not decrease, and hence there will be enough young people to support the old population also. Okay, now start with exercises. So this is the given data, and you have to calculate sex ratio, gender fertility rate, and gender marital fertility rate. So all the data is given. Basically sex ratio is a number of females per 1000 males. So you have to divide number of females divided divided by number of males multiplied by 1000. You can pause the slides anytime. So sex ratio is 900 females per 1000 male. Similarly, gender fertility rate, number of live births multiplied by 1000 divided by median population of the females of reproductive age group. So it comes to 100 live births per 1000 females of reproductive age. Okay. So you have to write the answer in whole. Just don't stop here by writing 100. So what happens if you do that, and if you have taken this multiplication factor wrong, यहाँ गलती से 1000 की जगह आपने 100 ले लिए, तो it answer becomes 10. Then examiner may find that this is wrong. So that's why try to write what you have done. So even if you take this multiplication factor wrong by mistake, then also examiner understand that okay, you know the concept, just you have taken the multiplication factor. Okay. This is the general marital fertility rate. Again the data is given. You have to calculate crude death rate, birth rate, and growth rate. Yeah, death rate and death rate is not directly related to fertility, but still to understand the concept of growth rate, we have taken it. So crude death rate is total deaths multiplied by 1000 divided by median population. Similarly, birth rate is total live births multiplied by 1000 divided by median population. And similarly find the growth rate is birth rate minus death rate. Now this is the important one. This generally comes for 3 marks. So from this given data, we have to calculate total fertility rate. Here you can see the age group of the women is given, as generally it is taken as a 5 or 10 group. So here it is a group of 5 years. So group interval will be 5 years. So number of women in each age group is given, and total number of live births to the women of that age group is given. So 15 to 19 had 100, 20 24 had 200, 24 29 600, and so on. Okay. Now you have to calculate total fertility. But before that, for that first step will be you have to calculate the age specific fertility rate for each age group. So my advice will be make one more column of age specific fertility rate. What is the formula for age specific fertility rate? Age specific fertility rate for a given group is equal to total number of live births to the women of that age group in a given area in that given year multiplied by 1000 divided by average population of the women of that age group. So in practice, this divided by this multiply by 1000 will be give you age specific fertility rate for age group of 15 to 19. So you have to calculate such age specific fertility rates and at the end find the total. That total will be equal to summation of age specific fertility rate from 15 to 19 and 45 to 40. Okay. So yes, you calculate for each. So first group has 50. So similarly, I have calculated for each age group. So here I have shown you the new table, but I will prefer that you just make a column to that old table and you can add this. And then the formula for total fertility is group interval. Remember, this is not 5, it's a group interval. Group interval multiplied by a summation of age specific fertility rates divided by 1000. So here sum comes 740. So 5 multiplied by 740 divided by 1000, that is 3.7. So fertility rate is 3.7. That is total number of live births a woman is expected to have in a country if she goes to current age specific fertility rate is 3.7. So the woman will be expected to have 3.7 children. So this is so much high. We want to achieve 2.1. Okay, this is not a correct example of any country or this, but just I am to understand the concept I am stating this. यहाँ पे we are not considered mortality at all. Now these are exercises for your homework or self work. You can pause the slide and you have to solve this by yourself. If you have any difficulty, any question, any query, you can reach out in the comment section or any other methods